Hey guys, this is Doreen at Door Designs. Hope everybody's having a great day. Today I'm going to be doing a fall design, but I'm going to be using a little different base than what I typically do. Typically I do grapevines with different florals, but tonight I'm going to be doing a different base that actually I've never designed on. So tonight's going to be my first night, but it's a moss base. I've been wanting to do one of these for quite some time, but every time I would go to look to purchase them, everybody was always sold out. So I did find these at Michael's, and I hope I like them because I stocked up on them due to the fact that they're just so hard to get a hold of. So we're going to use this. What I'm going to use for the design is I'm going to use this fall sign, and kind of what I wanted to show you is that instead of just doing a fall typical orange and yellow pumpkins, a lot of golds and things like that, this sign actually has got the purple pumpkin, it's got a cream pumpkin, and then on the orange pumpkin it's actually got wine colors kind of coming down to accent the pumpkin. So I've got some ribbon that's going to bring out that wine color along with the different colors of oranges, and then I'm going to use a lavender ribbon to bring out the lavender pumpkin. So the ribbon I've chosen, and to be honest, it took me probably 15 or so ribbons that I was going through prior to videotaping this because I had a hard time finding a ribbon that I really liked that went with the pumpkins. So I found this ribbon that's got the diamond shape, and it's got an olive green, it's got the orange, and then it's got kind of the wine color that's going to bring out that wine color in the pumpkin. And then I'm going to accent that with a nice plain lavender. And I know when I hold these up together, they don't look like they would go at all, and you kind of wonder, but once I put this together in a simple bow and put those on next to the wreath, it actually turned out really good. So I'm going to try it again and see if it's going to work out for us. I typically do my bows by hand, but tonight I'm going to go with the easy bow and just kind of show you how I use the easy bow. For those of you who are new to making wreaths, probably one of the biggest questions I get a lot is A, how do I pick my ribbons? And B, they struggle with making bows. For me, making bows by hand, I've just practiced for so many years. And when I first started out, we didn't have all the different bow makers, so you just kind of were self-taught. The easy bow maker is probably one of the easiest tools to use when making your bows. You can buy these at Hobby Lobby, at Michael's. I think Walmart has them sometimes. They're not very expensive, but they're a really great tool to have. Even if you don't make a lot of bows, using this tool, it's a great one to have to hold your ribbon and just to practice with. So what the easy bow has, it's got the spool holder here, and then it's got 3 pegs here. When I do my bows, I always use the 2 top pegs. These are more for if you're going to use much smaller ribbons and bows. So I'm going to turn my camera down a little bit, and then I'll turn it back up once I get it done. So let's see if I can get this angled in here. Okay, I'm going to start with the lavender ribbon first because I want it to be on the bottom. Even though it's a smaller ribbon, it's a 1.5 inch versus a 2.5 inch. Typically when I do my bows, I always put the 2.5 inch on the bottom and then 1.5 inch on the top. But I want this to be my main focal point in my bow, so I'm going to use this on top. So what I'm going to do is I put my ribbon on my spool holder, and then let me back up here for just for a second. On the easy bow, it's got a measuring right here. So you can see how long you want to make your loops or your ribbon tail. So we're going to put that on here. And I'm going to make my ribbon tails probably about 12 inches. And then all you do, I'll try it this way. All you do is you bring your ribbon down in between those top 2 spools or pegs. I bring my ribbon tail down, and then I'm going to measure out how long I want it to be. And I typically do my loops 6 inches. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just going to bring my ribbon over to number 6. Oops. I'm going to push down and twist it. Then I'm going to pull my ribbon, and I'm going to measure out 6 inches on the other side, twist it, and pull it down. For this color, I'm going to use 2 loops on each side. So we're going to go back to our 6, twist it, bring your other loop over, pull it down. And on this one, I don't need to twist it. And I'm just going to bring it down, match my other ribbons, and cut that off. So there we have the first part of our bow. And you can move it, your loops around if you want. So right now we just have a simple bow, 2 loops on each side with your 2 ribbon tails hanging down. So now we're going to do the 2.5-inch ribbon. And this ribbon's a little bit different. It's not as firm as what some of the other ribbons are. It's more of a fabric. So when I have ribbons like that, sometimes they're a little bit harder to work with. You just got to kind of be patient with it because they kind of crinkle a little bit or fold. So we're going to pull it through, measure it out, and we're going to twist it. And the reason why you twist it is because you always want your design of your ribbon to be on top. So we're going to pull this out, and we're going to go about 5.5 inches. I want this to be a little bit shorter so my ribbons kind of layer. So we're going to pull this one out and go about 5.5 inches, and we're going to twist. And then you can kind of fluff your bow each loop you make. And I'm going to go ahead and do another round of those at about 5.5. Push it down and twist it. And then we're going to come over on this side, do the same thing, but I don't need to twist it because this is my last one and I want my fabric, the ribbon part of it, the floral or the diamonds, to be on top. So what's nice is your Easy Bow does all your measuring for you. It's going to hold it in place. It's going to layer it. And now I'm going to decide if I want 1 loop of my green. So we're going to try that and see what it looks like. I think I will, but I think I'm only going to do 1 loop on each side of the green. So we're going to pull it down. Oops. Got my ribbon stuck there. Pull it down, twist it, and I'm going to make this a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to make my loop on this one 5 inches. There's my 5. There's my 5. And then just pull it out. Okay, now I want to move everything around before I tie everything down to make sure I like where it's at. So see how the Easy Bow held everything in place, and you can move your tails any way that you want them, your loops. Okay, I'm going to take a zip tie and tie mine down. I do that because I like how sturdy a zip tie works with it. So I'm just going to take my zip tie down underneath all the ribbons up along the pegs. So I'm going to start pulling it tight as I lift it, and then I'm going to grab hold of it and pull it, and I may not pull it all the way tight quite yet because now is a great time for me to go back and say, okay, do I need to move anything around before I zip tie it super tight? I've got all my ribbons facing the correct way, because now would be the time, if they weren't, that you would want to twist them around. Okay, it looks good. So I'm just going to pull this tight. And we'll cut this off. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of an accent color of ribbon and I'm going to tie it around the center. And I think I will use the lavender ribbon. Roll that up real quick. I don't always cover the inside of my bows because a lot of times I'll put an accent flower or a piece of greenery. But for this one, I'm going to go ahead and cover this up. And then I just cut those off nice and short. And there's the bow that we have. So you saw how easy using the easy bow helps you guide as far as measuring your loops, keeping everything nice and even to where your bow looks nice and centered. So what I'm going to do on this wreath base, since it's a styrofoam wreath base with moss covered, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually use pins, floral pins, and I'm going to pin my bow in. You won't see the floral pins at all. I'm going to kind of roll these up a little bit just so we can kind of get a look of where we're at with it. Okay, see how in the bow you see a little bit of the lavender, but you only see it as a little part of it to accent it, to bring in the lavender part of this pumpkin. But the focal point more of it are the different colors in this ribbon, and then bringing out some of the moss green that's in the stems of the pumpkins. So when I'm looking at for ribbons to design with, that's kind of what I look at, is what are all the different colors that are in the designs and how can I bring them out. So when I saw this wine color in the pumpkins, I knew that when I saw this ribbon with the wine in it, it would tie the two together, and then with the moss green and the orange. Okay, now I'm just going to start filling in with some different greenery, some little florals and stuff. But with this wreath, with the moss and everything, I want to make sure and leave some of my moss because I really want it to show along with the pumpkins. So for this bush, take this out. So for this bush, I cut it apart and we're going to start adding some of these pieces. This bush that I got it at Sims Pottery, and gosh, I don't mean to bang those. And to me, it was a really good designer bush to use because of all the different stuff in it. So I'm going to kind of separate it a little bit, and then we'll start adding. So when I cut it apart, it has this little thing at the bottom, so you can keep the two pieces together and use it, or you can take it out right here. So this one piece now is two pieces, which I'm going to take it apart because I don't want to use this big stem at the bottom. So we're going to cut that off. I always start putting my greenery from the back, work my way forward. And I always kind of bend my greenery to move it around because I want it to look more natural. So I want it to look something more like this than something that's just straight up and down. And we're going to see how all of this works by using it without using any floral picks. So I'm hoping that all of these will go through the styrofoam, that they will be strong enough. I'm just kind of adding some of these ferns on the background to kind of give it some height and some depth. And we'll come back and refluff our bow when we get done. And you'll notice I'm not putting my florals in flat in the wreath. I'm bringing them out because I want to try to get it like a different dimension of them coming out. I'm just looking at some of the different greenery in this bush. I don't like those bottom leaves. What I do when I don't like something, I just strip them off, and I'll save those for fillers, like if I need to cover something up on the back of the Wreath. And I'm going to use pretty much the same greenery on the top and on the bottom. So when I did this one, I did 3 to get my triangle going. And now I'm going to do 2 of these and then fill in a little bit different greenery for my third. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and add some of my orange florals because my orange flowers are the biggest florals that I'm going to use with them. And they also have really large stems, so I may have to pick these. They may not go through the styrofoam very well, but we'll see. Oh, they went in. This one I'm going to cut a little bit shorter. I'm going to put it at the top, but I don't want it to stick up so far away from my other florals. got to come just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and I think I might put a floral pick on this one. We'll try it first without it. We may have to come back and add it. It's going in. I'm going to add one more orange one at the bottom. This holder is off-centered, and I did that on purpose because my sign wasn't sitting right, but I will actually put a different hook on it that'll make it centered where it'll hang like that. Okay, so now we have the orange flowers in, and you'll notice from the side, this flower is coming almost straight out. This one's coming almost straight out. And then I brought a small one down to kind of fill in just a little bit here to kind of start bringing my orange from here up here into the florals. And then I have this one coming down. So if you turn it sideways, you can see how far out your wreath is coming with your florals and not just laying flat against your base. I really want to put some of these in there, so I got to make sure that I can get some of these in here. When I design, I always like something kind of fun, kind of whimsical. So I kind of look for different flowers that aren't just a typical flower, but has kind of a different texture to it. We're going to put this one up underneath this orange one. I think I'm going to like designing on these moss bases. They're kind of fun to work with. One thing that drives me nuts are those glue strings. Okay, I added some white to offset some of the bright oranges. See how it just kind of pulls everything together? And then I'm going to add a little bit more of the lavender and just a little bit different texture to bring out the lavender in the ribbons. And on that bush, they have these little lavender, and I'm going to take these bottom leaves off because once again I don't like those leaves, but I do like these kind of leaves. To me these look more natural than some of the silk ones that have that plasticky, almost shiny look to it that I don't think adds anything to your design. So I'm just going to kind of add these to different places throughout the wreath. to give it some height, give it some different dimension. The sign that I'm using tonight I got at Sims Pottery also. I'm going to cut a little more purple off this one. I like this piece a little bit better because it's got 3 of the purple flowers coming out of it. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of play with my ribbon a little bit and kind of fill it out, so that way I can kind of see if I need to add anything else. I'm going to leave my ribbons not real long, but I'm going to have them long enough to where it kind of covers the corner of the sign, just to kind of soften it up a little bit. And we're looking pretty good. I don't think I want to use those. I'm putting a little bit more floral there, so it kind of takes away from the hardness, the straight edge of the sign up above. And then I'm going to take a small piece of the purple and I'm going to kind of put that in the center of the bow. Going to kind of clean it up a little bit. So see how I've got the focal point up here of the bow with the florals. I've left enough room here so you can see the moss here and you can kind of see the moss there, because I think the moss base really adds to the design also. So when you look at this design, you see fall, you see the gather. So you could put this out late summer, early fall, and keep it up clear through really when you do your next design for Christmas. Because of the orange flowers and the white and stuff, it brings in a little bit of late summer, early fall, clear through the fall with different colors besides just your traditional, you know, orange pumpkins and stuff like that. So kind of think outside the box when you're looking for signs and stuff to bring in different colors in your designs. So on this one, my sign came from Sims Pottery. I used I've used them all. One of these stems had these 4 flowers in it, so there was 1 stem there. I used 1 bush like this from Sims Pottery, and I cut it apart, and I still have several, I can get them for you, several of the pieces from that stem left that I can use in my next design. I used 3 ribbons in here, the 2.5 inch, and then 2 1.5 inch, the moss and cream stripe, and then the lavender, which I really like how the lavender makes the wreath tie in the lavender pumpkin, but it really doesn't stand out in the bow, and that's really kind of what I wanted. I really wanted this ribbon to be the one that stands out. What I like about this, nothing comes through the back except for where I put my sign, but I will cover that up probably with some leaves or something like that to cover it up. This wreath is nice and light. It's actually styrofoam, but it's very heavy duty, and it's got the moss that goes along the whole front and the sides. So if you have not designed on a moss base, I would recommend you do it and try it. It's easy, it's fun. You just use a little bit of glue and your stems go right in. There's no really pushing or anything like that. And they're actually just kind of fun, just kind of something different to design with. So this one is done. I'll have it in my shop later under Door Designs. If you've enjoyed watching me, please go to my page and like and share if you would. And also go to my YouTube channel. I would love to have you subscribe on Door Designs. Also, if you haven't checked out Katie at Crazy Maisie Creations or Melissa at Burlap Boutique, please go see them. We do the Thursday together, the three of us. They do their lives, I do a video. We all do a little bit different designs, but we all have fun. We love to teach. We love to answer any kind of questions. So if you have any questions on how I design or what I design or any products that I use, please send me a message or go out on my Facebook page. You can private message me, or you can, once I post this video, you can put a comment under the video, and I will go through them and answer them all for you. Once again, I'm Doreen at Door Designs. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you next Thursday. Take care. Bye.